Hey there Pokemon fans, Farjama101 here with a Pokemon theory video for you. So today we're going to be taking a look at the two new Sun and Moon Legendaries unveiled in the latest trailer, and what could very well be the real world myths that they're based on and how they connect together. So just a bit of background for you on how I came up with this theory. Before the kids came along, my wife and I used to holiday in Greece quite regularly. I've always been interested in Greek mythology ever since I was a little kid, due mainly to the old Ray Harryhausen monster movies, Jason and the Argonauts and Clash of the Titans, to name just two classics. Ever since the trailer reveal, something seemed to be a bit familiar in the Legendaries, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it until a stray memory clicked about a Greek myth involving a lion, but we'll get to that later on. Now these are going to be the short versions of these tales, just picking out some of the key points that link in with the theory, but I'll link the full versions in the description if you want to go over the stories in more detail yourselves later. So first off, I want to start off with the myth that kicks off with the Greek woman called Selene. Selene was a worshipper of Apollo, the Greek god of the sun, and worked at his temple. That was until Apollo cursed her true love Ambrosia, turning him into the world's first vampire. However, Apollo's sister Artemis, the goddess of the moon, granted them protection from Apollo, and as a result they moved to Etheirus to worship and serve her at a temple there. Ambrosia had been granted immortality by the gods, but as a result of becoming a vampire, and as a result he didn't age, but immortal Selene did, and eventually became old and meant ill. And the couple had no children of their own due to the wishes of their god Artemis, where they weren't allowed to touch each other throughout their entire lives. On Selene's deathbed, Artemis allowed Ambrosia to drink Selene's blood. Their combined blood would become their children, and any humans that drank the blood would become vampires themselves. Selene died, but as a thank you to Ambrosia and Selene for their loyal service, Artemis made Selene into the immortal goddess of the moonlight so she could touch her husband at last with her light. So I want to take a few seconds just to look at the design of the Moon Legendary and run through some of the design choices that potentially link it with Selene. First up, it's a very feminine design in its design. The wings look not unlike a dress. Secondly, it's a very bat-like in appearance, and that ties into the vampire part of Selene's myth. Also, its signature attack, as you can see here, is the Moonbeam type attack, which also links into the legend. Also around the Legendary's head and neck there is a high collar around the back, which is very reminiscent of the classic Dracula design, and two protruding fangs at the top jaw, again giving that classic Dracula look. Is this a nod to Selene's history in creating the vampire race in mythology? Still not convinced? But how does this tie into a lion legendary and the sun? They're not mentioned in her story, I hear you cry. Well, this is where it gets interesting. I'm going to assume most of you have heard the myth of the 12 tasks of Hercules. If not, go check it out after this video. If you have, then you know where it goes, right? So Zeus gives his son 12 tasks to prove he's worthy of becoming a god. We're not talking washing the car or doing the dishes or tidying his room here either. We're talking some pretty badassery jobs, to be fair. Well, one of these tasks not only involves a lion, but also links directly with our moon goddess Selene. The Greek goddess Hera, who was the Greek god Zeus's wife, one of many to be fair, Zeus was a little bit of a player, begged Gallia and Tartarus to create the monster Typhon, who then takes a bride called Enchida. They go on to have many children, who then go on themselves to become some of the greatest monsters in Greek history, Cerberus, the Hydrus and the Chimera, to name but a few. One of them was a lion. Hera, angry at her husband, probably due to him playing away with anything in a skirt, and to be fair sometimes not even in a skirt, sends the lion to guard the shrine to her husband in Nemea, which then gives the lion the name the Nemea lion. And basically it's there to stop the citizens being able to worship and praise Zeus, who is a little bit of an ego case and quite liked his worship and praise. The lion was huge. It was more than double the size of a normal lion and indestructible to weaponry. This was a huge problem to the people of Nemea, who A, got fed up of being injured and eaten by the thing every time they were trying to get to the shrine, and B, it pretty much ate all their livestock, causing them to be on the brink of starvation. Thankfully for the village, Hercules rocks up, tasked with finding and killing the lion for his father Zeus. He shoots all his arrows at it, but just annoys the hell out of the great lion. And well, not being the sharpest tool in the box, and this is Greek mythology, he rushes up to the beast and wallops it over the head hard enough to stun it, and then goes on to strangle the poor thing to death with his bare hands. Now this is where it gets really interesting from the Pokemon viewpoint. You see, the lion was nursed as a cub by our vampiric moon goddess Selene, who had a great fondness for the creature, and depending on which version of the myth you read, either Hera or Zeus created the constellation of Leo to appease the anger of Selene over the killing of the beast, so he could at least remain by her side even after death. Okay, so now we've got a lion, a moon goddess with a vampire connection, but still no link to the sun. Well, actually we have. The constellation of Leo is linked very strongly in Greek mythology with the sun, from the zodiac, in which it is fire sign and represents those born in the summer months, to lining up perfectly during the summer solstice. Also, Leo's brightest star is known as the Rejunicus, pronouncing that completely wrong, and it is often referred to as the red flame, and was thought to contribute to its heat to the summer months. So, what do you guys think? Is this theory correct? Do you have your own theory on the origin of our two new legendaries? Well, I guess we won't really know much more till November, when we get to try and capture these legendary beasts for ourselves. But let me know in the comments section your own thoughts and theories. And if you enjoyed this video guys, please go ahead and show some love to that like button down below. Take care guys, and if I don't see you around, I'll see you on BattleSpot.